Good evening. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm Heather Ennis. I'm President and CEO of the Northwest Indiana Forum. For those of you that don't know, the Northwest Indiana Forum is the seven-county economic development organization. We cover Lake, Porter, LaPorte, Jasper, Newton, Pulaski, and Stark counties. We're really excited to be here with you tonight and excited that so many people wanted to come out and learn more about the Amazon data center happening in Hobart. Um, I'm celebrating my 12th year with the Northwest Indiana Forum, and it's really amazing to see these transformational projects that are coming to our region. The Northwest Indiana Forum is the voice of Northwest Indiana business. We market Northwest Indiana as the place for business, and we stake out and drive bold initiatives that wouldn't happen without the forum. Um, as the voice of the region's business, it's our job to help attract transformational investments to our region and work with the communities to help make them come to fruition. Again, we're very excited that you've all joined us here this evening. Um, Please know that this webinar is the first of many that will happen over the coming months to continue to dive into this project and other projects as we look at transformational opportunities for the region. In order to get the most accurate information to you all, this information will be part live and part pre-recorded in order to ensure that we have the best experts to be able to explain things to you. Please note again, as I've said, that this is the beginning of the conversation, not the end of the conversation. We're going to continue to drive into these things, and we look forward to engaging you all as we continue to do these things. I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Mayor Josh Huddleston. Mayor Huddleston's been a transformational leader on this project, and we really appreciate him and the council and the work that they've done. I know the Amazon team also appreciates the city and the mayor's leadership as we continue to build out this project. Mayor Josh, please take it away.
Thanks, Heather. First of all, welcome. I'm excited that we're here to discuss the project in some detail here. We're excited for tonight's a high-level understanding of the intricacies of this project. In the spirit of time, we wanted to make sure that we introduce this at a high level, and then subsequently, in subsequent meetings, dive into each discipline, understanding that each one of these disciplines it requires its own sort of webinar, if you will, so that it has its due diligence given to it, that we can deliver on those questions that you have. But tonight, we're excited because you're going to get more understanding, more information from the project. One of the challenges that we had is feedback we got in the community is not everyone understands what a data center is. And so we wanted to make sure that we started on the very basic level, 101, if you will, and then we'll work to dive into deeper disciplines in future webinars. One of the things that we get asked about, and you will find out, is that this project isn't happening in a silo. It's not just Amazon in the city of Hobart. We have third-party consultants vetting and doing our own type of discovery, understanding all this. This hasn't happened overnight. It's been a long period of time for this project, and we're excited tonight because we are getting close to where we will be at site plan, and so understanding all the nuances to the project is important. And tonight you will see the high level, and then, like I said, we will dive into deeper meeting. But what I want to talk about tonight, first of all, thank you guys for your patience. I appreciate it. As this thing has unfolded, as you can imagine, a development of this magnitude for our community, which happens to be the largest economic development in the state of Indiana, and more importantly for us here in Hobart. This doesn't happen overnight, and so understanding all the nuances and what goes into it, we're excited that this is going to be an ongoing series for you guys, and that we can answer the questions that you guys have. Well, really, when we talk about economic impact, what it matters to me in the city of Hobart is that everyone understands this project from a financial standpoint. The experts will talk about the impact it will have from an environmental to noise to water, but from the economic side, which we'll also touch, but for the city of Hobart, what that means. For us, as you know, the city of Hobart over the course of time has been cash strapped in a way that has hindered progress, has hindered our residents from realizing what the true Hobart can possibly be. And so this project is really going to deliver that for us. We designed the economic package to be front loaded so that we can make an immediate impact for our residents. When you talk about how the structure of this works, a lot of folks, the government finances could be a doctorate level class, but in short, this project is in a TIF district, and that TIF district locks the money up in the TIF. And typically, money in TIF is used for infrastructure projects. Understanding that Amazon is paying 100% of the infrastructure cost to deliver this project, the money sitting in a TIF didn't do us any good sitting in there. So what we did was we structured it in a way to get that money outside of the TIF district and what we call economic impact payments. That's not economic impact payments. That's so that we can go make an impact economically with those payments. That means that we can reduce costs to our residents, both fees and taxes. That means that we can fix drainage issues. That means that we can build parks. That means that we can help nonprofits, schools, et cetera, with this money. For us, we're the city of Hobart set to receive about $200 million over the course of the next 3 years in economic impact payments. To put that in perspective for us, our general fund budget is about $26 million. So what does that mean? That means that we can deliver service to our residents and make Hobart a destination that it's supposed to be. Um, some of the things that, the council has already taken action on, they've eliminated the garbage fee. We are looking to do an energy efficiency program. And also, what we'll be doing is whiteboard sessions moving forward so that you guys can engage on what you guys see best fit for these dollars. And you will find out during the course of this webinar and then subsequent webinars that this isn't selling out. This is a good product. And we feel that when you have good development with good economic packages, you can transform a community for the better. So I'm excited for tonight and appreciate you guys joining us. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. You again, I can't applaud your leadership enough, and we look forward to what this brings to the city of Hobart. As we've talked about, we're bringing you experts from all over the country. Some will be live, some will be pre-recorded, but we'd like to go ahead and get started with the more project-specific information. So we're going to go ahead and kick this program off with.
Hey folks, welcome to the community information session. My name is Josh Weissman, and I lead the Amazon Web Services, referred to as AWS, infrastructure delivery organization. So I get this question a lot. What is a data center? Well, data centers have been around for 40 plus years. And at the beginning, these were large rooms that housed really large computers so that companies could run their operation right there in their backyard. And each company had some form of a data center. Some of them were small little rooms, some were quite large. And about 20 years ago, Amazon realized that the cost for companies to build their own data centers was quite high and oftentimes prohibitive. And they were really unable to build all the services they needed to run their business on their own. And so AWS was formed. And AWS builds data centers for customers and have now for approximately 20 years. So what is a data center? A data center is a facility that houses thousands of purpose-built computers. A purpose-built computer, no different than when you walk into a store to buy your own computer. You see all the different models and have to figure out which one you want. Same thing. We offer dozens of different types of computers in our data centers for customers to rent. They don't have to build out their infrastructure and pay all that cash up front. We do that and then lease it to customers who want to use computers in our data centers. And today, we have millions of customers that rely on AWS to run their businesses. For example, the obvious example that we'd like to talk about is Netflix. As you settle in on a Friday night to watch your favorite movie or TV show, and you go to Netflix, that Netflix software application reaches out to our data center, picks the movie that you picked, and sends it to your TV, and that all happens through AWS. Another example would be during natural disasters, AWS is often used to provide support to first responders. For example, drones are used to understand where real concerns are and what's happening on the ground. And that often runs through AWS, along with many other applications and other software applications like your email, banking applications. And so Amazon Web Services really is built for the millions of customers that rely on it to build their business, operate their business, and serve millions of customers like yourselves who rely on that infrastructure for your daily lives. So thank you for your time, and hopefully this paints a little bit of a picture of what happens in a data center and what a data center is.
Hello everyone, I'm Pupudu Ranasinghe, a Senior Water Strategy Manager. We'll be going over why and how data centers use water. We use water in our data centers for three purposes: domestic needs for people who operate them, fire suppression, and cooling. Cooling is the one that draws most of the questions. So let's address it directly. There's a widespread misconception that all data centers consume the same amount of water for cooling. That simply isn't true. Think of it like cars. They all use fuel, but mileage varies. Some data centers are water efficient, some are not. We are very proud to be among the most efficient. Water use for cooling comes down to three factors: how you operate, the local climate, and the technology you deploy. We use highly efficient cooling technology that requires water for as little as 2% of the year in Indiana. Our data centers in Indiana will use water for cooling only 2% of the year. Just the warmest hours when outside air alone can't do the job. Here's how it works. Water passes through the system, some evaporates, and air cools down. The same principle as a cooling towel on a hot day. For the remaining 98% of the year, we cool entirely with outside air. From October through April, we won't use a single drop of water for cooling. That's a real performance reason for this approach. Using water on the hottest hour reduces power consumption by 25 to 35% compared to systems that avoid water entirely. This is not just water smart, it's energy smart too. Amazon's data centers set high bar for water efficiency. With a rate of just 5 ounces per kilowatt hour, we are 10 times more efficient than cooling towers and 5 times more efficient than industry average. Once fully operational, the entire Hobart campus is expected to use an average of 14 million gallons per year, less than what a typical golf course consumes annually. To put it in another way, the water utility existing production facilities can meet our entire annual demand in less than 12 hours. Sustainability is a top priority for Amazon as we build infrastructure that will power our communities for generations. We have committed to return more water than we use in our direct operations by 2030. And we are already making good progress in India. In the Kankakee River watershed, we are investing in two complementary water positive projects. The first is Kankakee Aquifer Smart Irrigation Program, an AI-driven precision technology deployed with local farmers across 7,200 acres today. This project will reduce water waste at the source. The second is Smart Wetland Initiative, a restoration project that treats agricultural runoff before it reaches local waterways. Together, these initiatives will deliver over 100 million gallons of annual benefits through water savings and cleaner runoff. Our water will come from Indian American water, which draws from Lake Michigan, not from any local groundwater sources. Indian American Water has completed hydraulic modeling and confirmed sufficient capacity for our project and future development with only minor infrastructure improvements needed. Used cooling water will be discharged to City of Hobart's sewer system, and we are funding 100% of the water and sewer infrastructure required for our operations. The community bears no cost. We will also develop a replenishment project that returns more water than we consume in Hobart. Dewatering is a routine construction process used when work needs to happen below the groundwater table, such as installing pipes and building foundations. It's a temporary measure to lower the groundwater level. Extracted water is typically returned to storm systems. The method of dewatering depends on several factors: the area and depth of construction, soil conditions, groundwater depth, and the potential impact to surrounding infrastructure. If dewatering is needed in Hobart, we anticipate using sump pumps, a straightforward approach used to maintain dry work area, with little to no impact beyond the site boundary. The Hobart site will be designed to minimize the need for dewatering overall. I hope this information answered many of the questions you all had. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Angie Cole, and I'm in energy strategy at Amazon. I'm going to talk to you about a data center's power usage and how our contract with NIPSCO will contribute to the local electric grid while ensuring you, as a ratepayer, do not subsidize the cost to serve our load. The reality is, data centers have significant power needs for everything from running servers and computing to keeping cooling systems active. This is why we take energy efficiency very seriously at Amazon. Just like you, Amazon will be a customer of NIPSCO. However, Amazon will receive its service directly from NIPSCO's transmission lines, rather than the local distribution lines that typically serve your home or business. AWS will be funding new substations at our sites to serve our data center buildings. Given that NIPSCO is a regulated utility in Indiana, Amazon's agreement with NIPSCO will be subject to regulatory oversight. Here in Indiana, Amazon's partnership with NIPSCO will help ensure that residential and business customers of NIPSCO will be credited for our use of NIPSCO's existing transmission system. A portion of the cost that we will pay for the use of those lines will flow back to existing customers through a planned credit that NIPSCO's customers will receive on their monthly utility bill. These credits are expected to total up to $1 billion over the life of the agreement. Amazon is committed to funding 100% of the power infrastructure we need to serve our load and then some, ensuring that these costs are not passed on to our community members. We will be funding future power generation assets, substations, and pay for dedicated power lines while contributing to power capacity reserves in the region. All of these assets are meant to increase the resiliency of NIPSCO's overall system. We are able to do this and accomplish this because NIPSCO created a separate entity that's regulated to capture these costs. This structure will insulate existing customers from the costs and risks of serving Amazon's load. As part of our partnership with NIPSCO, NIPSCO will be building 2,600 megawatts of dispatchable generation along with a 400 megawatt battery to ensure the region has the capacity it needs during peak usage. From an energy efficiency perspective, we've taken the lead on measures like server optimization and efficient cooling practices to get our power usage effectiveness, or PUE, score to 1.15, better than the industry average. When customers choose Amazon, they immediately benefit from infrastructure which is 4 times more energy efficient than typical on-premises data centers. Our investments in the energy infrastructure here in Hobart will pay dividends for the community members when it comes to stronger, more reliable power systems. As for sustainability, Amazon is one of the biggest corporate purchasers of renewable energy across all of its operations. We take renewable energy seriously and have contracted for hundreds of renewable projects worldwide. including 5 here in Indiana, which will add over 600 megawatts of energy to the grid. Once all of these are operational, these projects will generate the amount of energy needed to power the equivalent of more than 145,000 homes in Indiana. We rely on the utilities grid to power our data centers. To ensure the reliability of our services for critical customers, our data centers are designed to be fully redundant in the rare event of a disruption. Our backup generators run less than 10 hours per year on average, mostly during midday testing intervals to ensure that they are ready when needed. These generators are carefully maintained, fully compliant with all state and federal environmental regulations, and designed to provide energy power only when it's absolutely necessary. So in summary, Amazon will fully fund 100% of the power generation and transmission assets, including upgrades, to serve our load. An estimated $1 billion will be directed back to customers over the term of our agreement. Existing customers will not be subsidizing Amazon's costs. Amazon runs energy-efficient data centers, and we are very excited about the opportunity to contribute to the Hobart community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ben Elsesser, a regional environmental engineer here at AWS, and I'm here to talk to you about our environmental permitting strategy and mitigation strategy here in Hobart.
Hey folks, I'm David Monaghan. I'm a senior air quality engineer with AWS, and I'm here to talk to you about the air permitting aspect of this project in Hobart, Indiana.
I'd like to take a minute to talk about our commitment to environmental protection here at AWS. Prior to site selection, Amazon conducts a thorough assessment evaluating wetlands, waterways, protected species, and their habitat. These findings are then used to directly shape site selection and design, ensuring environmental impacts are avoided or reduced as much as possible. All regulatory requirements are met from the initial planning of the site through the full data center lifecycle. Here, I'd like to talk about the minimization efforts that we've employed here in Hobart. One of the key tenets of our minimization efforts is wetland avoidance. The site has been designed to optimize wetland avoidance by maintaining over 55 acres of naturalized wetlands and riparian habitat throughout the site. This represents that over 99% of the wetlands that are identified on the site will remain through operations. In addition to avoiding wetlands, we're converting over 25 acres of existing cropland into new engineered wetland detention basins. These will be composed of native wetland plantings and will manage stormwater as it moves into the receiving waters. We also are implementing habitat enhancement efforts here. The project will utilize native plantings across the site to increase plant diversity and count. In addition to the native plantings, we'll also be using pollinator habitats on the periphery of the site. With that, I'll pass it over to David to talk more about the air quality strategy AWS will be implementing here.
Thank you very much, Ben. Yeah, hi folks. So from an air permitting perspective, we recognise that Lake County is designated serious non-attainment for ozone, limiting NOx and VOC emissions to 50 tonnes per year. So from an air permitting strategy perspective, we plan to permit this site as a synthetic minor source below major source thresholds and remain protective of that 50 tonnes per year limit for NOx and VOCs. With regards to the type of generators that we plan to land on site, we plan to land state-of-the-art Tier 2 certified generators, which will be fitted with Tier 4 emission control systems. All these Tier 2 critical emergency generators fitted with Tier 4 emission reduction technology will further reduce emissions from the facility. It's also really important to note that on average, each of our emergency backup generators operate around about 10 hours per year. We are not operating these generators 24/7, 365 days per year. The last point I'd like to draw your attention to is that based on a 2023 study by the Joint Legislative Audit and Review Committee, the study found that actually, even though facilities permit to 50 tons per year or 100 tons or 250 tons per year. In reality, the operators of those facilities only emit approximately 7% of what those permits allow. And that is absolutely our intention for this particular site, to make sure that we minimize emissions from our facility. Thank you very much for listening, folks. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristen Wallace, a consultant with over 30 years of experience conducting environmental noise assessments. I'm here to present to you information about acoustics and the sound mitigation that AWS considers on their sites. The main sources of operational sound from data centers are cooling and ventilation equipment and backup generators. The cooling and ventilation equipment tends to be the primary source of noise concern since it operates continuously. For backup generators, a common misconception is that they operate 24/7 as well. However, backup generators are typically operated intermittently for short periods of time during testing and maintenance, and as presented previously, are generally expected to operate 10 hours or less per year. In addition to operational sound, temporary construction activities at a campus produce sound that can affect nearby communities. Amazon contractors regularly apply best management practices to reduce construction noise impacts. There has been a concern that multiple data centers will multiply sound, but the reality is that 2 data centers of equal sound would not result in a doubling of loudness. As part of this presentation, it is helpful to provide information regarding the science of sound. Sound is characterized by pressure fluctuations in a medium, in this case air. The pressure levels vary enormously over the range of human hearing, and we use decibels, which operate on a logarithmic scale, to compress the very wide range of pressures to a more manageable range of numbers. The decibels logarithmic scale changes the math from what we typically know. For example, 50 decibels plus 50 decibels is equal to 53 decibels, not 100 decibels, and that 3 decibel increase is just perceivable. 10 times the number of noise sources results in a 10 decibel increase compared to a single source, and that 10 decibel increase is perceived as a doubling of sound. To recap, it would take 10 of the same sources, essentially stacked on top of each other, to result in a doubling of perceived loudness. The chart on the right of this screen presents common outdoor sound levels. Similar charts can be found at many sites, including the EPA's website and the Federal Transit Administration's website. Amazon designs and operates their data centers in compliance with all local sound ordinances. This site will be in compliance with the City of Hobart's 65 decibel noise limit for data centers, and Amazon will strive to do better than regulatory requirements in order to be a good community member. Using conservative summertime cooling assumptions when equipment is expected to operate at peak capacity, Amazon has designed the site to operate in the low 50s decibels at their property line. Most of the time, especially during cooler seasons, the sound levels are expected to be even lower. Mitigation is identified for each campus on a site-by-site basis and a building-by-building basis. Each site has particular characteristics that affect how the noise travels to offsite communities, including the design and orientation of the buildings, the intervening land and ground types, terrain, and potential intervening development. These specific characteristics are considered in the noise assessments conducted for each site. Amazon is one of the only hyperscalers with a dedicated acoustic program and specialized engineering team for solving data center sound challenges. They also use experienced outside noise consultants for conducting the noise assessments for each specific site. On a site-by-site basis, Amazon is proactive about mitigation strategies to reduce not only overall sound levels, but also low frequency and tonal sound characteristics to ensure comprehensive sound quality management. At this site, noise control measures include sound dampening building materials and insulation, strategic placement of equipment, visual screening, and generator acoustic enclosures and mufflers. I hope you found this information helpful. Thank you for your time.
Hello, this is Kiko Smith. I am an architect and the design manager for this project, AWS design manager. And I'm here to present the site design for this project. You have the first slide. So this first slide is showing you the overall site plan from the sky view. And we want to show you this because as we discussed in our environmental slides and so on and so forth, the waterways that we've kept and the wetlands that we've kept and the additional landscaping that you see around the exterior part of the site, you will also notice that the buildings are set back quite a ways. So we are set back approximately 400 to 600 feet from the main roads and throughout the rest of the project. So this is one of the ways that we work to help with the acoustics and so on and so forth. As such, we will also have lighting closer to the buildings, and the lighting as it goes further and further out to the edges of the site will be lesser and less. So we expect the lighting at the edges of the site to be very minimal. We could go to the next slide. So as you can see from the smaller version of the site plan, the arrow indicates what view this is. So this is a corner view looking at the project, and we start to see the distance off of the street edge and the berming start to take place. This will help with overall character and changes to the site. If we can go to the next slide. And as we go down the street, we can see that, again, the berming starts to develop and the landscape that we've added. This site, we will add approximately 1,400 to 1,500 additional trees to the campus. The maturity level that you're seeing is what we are expecting to provide, working with your local nurseries and local opportunities to find these plantings so that we know that they work in this area. But this is the character. There will be a bike path that you'll see as well that we've added. We worked with your staff and city leadership to make sure that we've thought about all of these changes and how we will develop. Let's go to the next slide. This is an example of one of our entries. And I show you this example because this will serve as our entry until the roundabout is built. Once the roundabout is built, again, directed from your city staff as to the future requests that they have wanted to have that roundabout, we will then replace this drive with additional landscaping and berming, and that whole entry will be closed off. So this will only be for a short while, few years, until such time as we are able to then close that back off. If we go to the next slide. And this again is another example of where our berming and landscaping. This berming is a little higher. It will approximately be 15 feet tall. This will help with acoustics, as was discussed in the acoustics summary, all toward adding to the character and adding to the community. We are excited to be here, and we hope to bring you a very special project. So I think that's my last slide.
Thank you, Kiko. Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you this evening. I'm Scott Eckhart, and I'm on the economic development team at Amazon. I'll take just a minute to frame the economic impact of our project because the scale's pretty extraordinary. Our project represents a $15 billion investment, which is the largest private commitment in Indiana history. That level of investment isn't just about physical construction. It becomes a multi-year economic engine. It drives demand for local contractors, suppliers, hotels, restaurants, and service providers across the community. Alongside that, the project includes $1.5 billion in community impact payments over the term of the agreements. As the mayor described earlier, these are flexible dollars that local leaders can direct toward priorities like schools, roads, public safety, and long-term infrastructure. These payments create a predictable revenue stream that strengthens the community's financial foundation for decades to come. But the long-term story isn't just about investments, it's about people. These projects create high-quality technical and skilled opportunities, and they open doors for local students and workers. And that's exactly where Mike will take us next.
Thanks, Scott. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Berman. I'm a director within our economic development team. I'm part of our workforce development organization. I'm a former classroom teacher and administrator, and my role is to work with education and workforce development systems in the communities where we have our data centers to help them align their efforts to the demand for cloud computing talent. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. You can see on the screen what the growth that Scott is describing is a microcosm of what we're seeing across the country and beyond. The expansion of cloud computing technology over the past decades, and especially with the acceleration of innovation in AI. Recently, there's an explosion of demand for talent, and my team's remit, my role, is to figure out how to translate that growth in demand into opportunity for learners and job seekers in our communities. So let me just dive into high-level overview of that demand and our approach to workforce development, as well as some of the work that's there. So on the previous slide, we talked about the left-hand side, all the cool things that you can do with your fingers on the keys. And that's the technology that my colleague Josh was describing at the top of the call. Netflix, Hulu, all sectors of the economy are either born in the cloud or running cloud computing workloads. Those millions of customers require data centers to carry their loads, and that's where we really wanted to drive the conversation, is to focus on the right-hand side, or the demand for cloud computing talent at the physical layer of the technology stack. So as you can see from the graphic, we bucket that demand, thousands of jobs and roles into four different main functional areas: building data centers, connecting them with fiber, providing them with power, and operating and maintaining them. And one thing to note is that, and if you go to the next slide, it says that here, this is just a small cross section of the roles related to that really important work. The overwhelming majority of those roles, these high demand careers, are with our vendors and contractors. But at AWS, we also have a very robust demand for talent. We've actually hired over 900 builders to work in our facilities in New Carlisle, and over 80% of them are native to the Hoosier State. In addition to that, on any given day, there might be thousands of construction workers on our sites, again, contributing to the economy. What we think about is, how do we make sure that that demand is translating into opportunity for the residents that live there, the members of our community. And so our solution is to go work with the local education and workforce development systems in those communities, in the region, to help make sure that that alignment is really robust. And that work, which has already begun, it's been going on for years, if you can go to the next slide, really cuts across three dimensions. We think about, how do we make sure that instructors are fluent and well-versed in industry technology? How do we support them with professional development? How do we work with educators and workforce development program developers to make sure that what students are learning, what learners engage with, is authentic and reflects industry demand, what they're going to need when they go enter the workforce, and that it's also really engaging. And really often, as you can see from the discussion previously, a lot of these are really hands-on, skilled trades-based roles, where we think about managing electrical systems or mechanical systems or HVAC, fiber optic technology, a lot of really exciting work, and we want to make sure that the learning happens in an authentic way. And so we need to think about the facilities and equipment where that learning happens. So this work is ongoing. We've had the privilege of working with Dr. Buffington and her team at the School City of Hobart system at Hobart High School, as well as educators and leaders from local career centers, and the team at Ivy Tech Community College in the region. That work is ongoing. It's really exciting. We've been very gratified for the kinds of collaboration that we've seen, and we're looking forward to more. If we can go to the next slide, here's a small cross-section, a selection of some of the programming that's already started in the area. Last year, we ran a professional development workshop for education leaders in the region. There were over 130 participants. We co-hosted that with Ivy Tech. We've run fiber optic fusion splicing workshops to help introduce community members and job seekers to optical fiber technology. And then just last spring, we graduated our first cohort out of the information infrastructure pre-apprenticeship. And a lot of those folks have already gotten jobs with our contractors, and many of them are our colleagues in the operations team working in New Carlisle right now. It's very exciting. And then we are continuing to develop and launch new programs. Just a couple weeks ago, a new cohort at Ivy Tech launched one of their upskilling programs to move them into higher paying roles. So we are really excited for the work ahead, and really looking forward to more collaboration with the local education and workforce development system. Thanks for your time. Going to turn it over to Amy. Thanks. Sorry.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, folks. My name is Amy Jabala, and I'm part of Amazon's community engagement team. It's important for us to use our scale and resources to strengthen communities where we operate and to dedicate resources to make improvements in areas that matter most to you all. We're ramping up to work closely with local organisations, nonprofits, schools, and community members across Hobart to understand your needs and find ways to contribute in a way that is both thoughtful and impactful. Our community engagement efforts are anchored by key pillars, and I want to take a few moments to share what this means for Hobart, as well as share a few examples of how we've partnered with the community across New Carlisle, South Bend, and the wider St. Joseph County community to give you a sense of what you can look forward to. Firstly, STEM education programs. We'll be partnering with the School City of Hobart and neighbouring school districts to provide hands-on learning and education experiences for the young people in your community. Mike has already shared some of the early discussions and work to date with the schools district. Our Think Big STEM education programming includes our Think Big spaces. These are dedicated learning spaces and labs that are built in a school or community centre where students can explore cloud computing and technology. We also have a mobile version of these spaces with dedicated facilitators who will deliver STEM education and teacher training in local schools. These aren't one-time events, they're sustained programs designed to open doors for the next generation right here in Hobart. We're getting ready to launch and open our Think Big spaces across the New Prairie and South Bend schools corporations, and we're excited to start working on the spaces and programming for local schools in Hobart. Mike's shared some detail on our skills training initiatives, but it's worth mentioning again that investing in workforce development programs will help individuals gain the skills needed in careers and cloud computing. By collaborating with local education institutions and community organisations, we'll continue to create opportunities for students, job seekers, and career changers to build in-demand skills and increasing employability. Our next pillar centres on sustainability efforts. As you've heard from a couple of our speakers, we're committed to environmental stewardship, working towards 100% renewable energy and net zero carbon emissions. But what does this look like at a local level? We'll make efforts to hear from you all on what you'd most like to see across Hobart, but what we've delivered to date in local communities as well as other regions across the country include everything from planting new tree canopy, rehabilitating community gardens for education and food sources, creating new green spaces, solar builds for local community buildings, and smart wetland projects. Our final pillar focuses on supporting hyperlocal social impact activities. This again means listening to what you need and what the community needs. We'll support local organisations and community-driven projects that address the priorities you identify, whether that's supporting local nonprofits, disaster relief efforts, sponsoring local festivals and events, volunteering at the local food bank, improving access to education, healthcare, and basic resources, or building a new playground for young people. Building on everything I've shared, we're pleased to today launch the Hobart Community Fund with an initial $150,000 commitment. Managed by the nonprofit ChangeX, the fund, which opens today, will provide grants of up to $10,000 for community projects that have a positive impact. The fund is open to nonprofits, education institutions, and community groups across Lake County, and projects need to demonstrate a direct positive impact to the Hobart community. The QR code will take you to the application page, but we will also share details with you all at the close of the session via email. These are real commitments that we're making to you all, backed by programs we have successfully implemented in communities across the country. We look forward to demonstrating these in action in the months and years ahead. Heather, I'll now pass the mic back to you for Q&A and some final remarks.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you to all of our presenters. That concludes the formal content, and we've addressed many of the questions that were asked that you asked as you registered for this event. But we'd like to dig into this and maybe ask a couple more questions. So I'm gonna bring Scott back up on screen. Thanks for joining me, Scott. Just want to dig into a couple of questions additionally with you. Have there been any independent studies completed with regarding environmental impact and health impacts?
Heather, I'll start by just saying Amazon's committed to environmental responsibility in building and operating our data centers. So prior to site selection, Amazon conducts thorough assessments evaluating wetlands, waterways, protected species and their habitats, along with the sensitive ecosystems with flood risk, air quality, and cultural resources, also assessed where that's applicable. These findings directly shape site selection and design decisions, which you saw some of within Kiko's presentation, that ensure environmental impacts are avoided or reduced as much as possible, and all regulatory requirements are met from initial planning through the full data center lifecycle. So we work closely with the regulatory agencies throughout the planning, construction, and operational phases to ensure full compliance with all applicable environmental and public health standards. Environmental standards are enforced through multiple layers of oversight, including the permitting processes with state and local environmental agencies, ongoing monitoring and reporting requirements, and regular inspections. Since AWS first started in cloud computing back in 2006, we've been creating jobs, economic growth, education, and training opportunities, and much more for the people who live and work in the communities where we operate. So for almost 2 decades, we've got experience building and operating global infrastructure to meet our customers' evolving needs. Our ability to operate successfully is contingent on being responsible operators in the communities where we build and operate, and we plan to be here for a long time.
Fantastic, and we're delighted to have you as part of the community. I know this was covered a little bit earlier, but could you just reiterate and maybe dig back more into it, some of the information on how data centers might impact residential energy bills and grid reliability?
Absolutely. As you saw from my colleague Angie earlier this evening, Amazon's going to pay 100% of the cost to power its facilities, including all the expenses for new power plants, transmission lines, and equipment upgrades. These costs aren't passed on to local residents or businesses. Here in northern Indiana, regulators approved an agreement between NIPSCO and Amazon that delivers approximately $1 billion in cost savings to NIPSCO customers over 15 years. Residential customers will see roughly $7 in monthly savings on their bills. The way it works is straightforward. So Amazon will pay fees to use existing transmission infrastructure and underwrite any new power infrastructure needed to serve the data centers. Through NIPSCO's subsidiary, these payments flow back to current customers as bill credits. The agreement also adds up to 3 gigawatts of new capacity, which goes beyond serving only our internal Amazon needs. This extra generation capacity enhances grid reliability for all of NIPSCO customers. It provides greater assurance that the grid remains reliable during periods of peak stress, like hot summer days and cold winter nights. The additional infrastructure strengthens the regional grid for everyone, while Amazon's $15 billion investment brings over 1,100 new high-skilled jobs and expands the revenue base for the city for local schools, emergency services, and infrastructure.
And it's really but for projects like this that these infrastructure improvements would not be made in our region. So it's building the future for our region. So we
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And finally, I'd like to just dive into a little bit of how living near a data center might impact home values.
Sure. Yeah, it's a very important question. One that we've been looking at in a few different ways. So home values, as we all know, are influenced by many factors, like the strength of the local economy, the quality of the infrastructure that's there, and access to jobs. Data center investments can contribute positively to these conditions over time. In many communities, data centers have helped expand the local tax base, support public services like schools and public safety, and attract additional business investment, all of which can make an area more desirable to live in. Independent research, including a study from George Mason University, has found that in some established data center markets, home prices have been higher closer to data center campuses. These findings are often tied to the fact that the data centers are typically located in areas with strong infrastructure, reliable utilities, and proximity to jobs and economic activity, factors that also tend to support property values. At the same time, I want to recognize that we get that proximity matters. That's why data centers are carefully designed and operated to minimize their impacts on nearby communities. This includes considerations like setbacks, landscaping, screening, the berming you saw, sound mitigation, and compliance with local zoning and environmental requirements.
Yeah, I love seeing the site plans and really looking at what that's going to look like. I think I'm excited about welcoming you all to the community. Um, I'm going to wrap things up here in a minute, but before we do, thank you so much, Scott, for answering questions. I know that there's still many more questions out there. We've got the NWI Data Facts site that's up and live and running from the forum perspective. You can submit questions in there. But I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Huddleston just to give us any additional remarks that you might have, Mayor.
No, thanks, Heather. Thanks, Amazon team, and thanks the community for joining us tonight. I hope that it answered a lot of your guys' questions in terms of some of the myths that that have been presented. You know, not data centers of yesteryear are not the same data centers of today, and it was very important that we partnered with a good partner like Amazon. As you guys saw on the site plan, as you guys heard from a high level tonight, of all of the detail that's gone into this, from just the layout to the thoughtfulness of the natural vegetation, to all of those things that you guys heard tonight. We're excited. You know, when you look at, you know, industrial development here, what could have been versus what was presented tonight is day and night, right? And we're excited. We're excited for the opportunity. We're excited for the positive impact that this is going to make on our community. And this is the first of many to educate our public and get more information, correct information out to our folks. And I'm just super excited for the opportunity that's coming down the pipe here.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, thank you for your leadership. We're really excited about it as well. And so, again, I'd like to thank Amazon and all of the panelists that have been with us. Those of you that are on the webinar, thank you so much for joining us this evening. There will be links sent out to you to your email to give you additional information and to share much of the information that was given here tonight. As I mentioned, we have the NWI Data Facts site, which we continue to populate and continue to answer questions on. So if you'd like to stay informed, like to stay engaged around that, please sign up. We're getting ready to send a newsletter out around that and talk about opportunities that are happening across the region. This is the biggest investment that's happened in the history of the state of Indiana and has chosen Northwest Indiana to call home. We have great opportunity here happening in our community to grow our economy and to create jobs for generations to come. It's an exciting time, Mayor, and I appreciate your leadership, appreciate the Amazon team for being with us. Again, encourage you all to sign up for the NWI Data Facts, as well as continue to engage in these webinars. This is the first step in this process. We're going to continue to be bringing more and more information to you and want to continue to partner with the community as we move forward. So We appreciate everyone being with us this evening and hope that you all stay safe in the storms that were happening around us. So again, thanks to everyone for being here, and we'll look forward to more of these to come. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.